Hello and welcome to my first reading vlog, which is so exciting! So I've seen this video done a couple of times now. I saw it first by Ellen Catherine and then I've since seen it by Kayla from Books and Lala, and it turns out she's the one who created it, and that is the book Scavenger hunt. And what they do is they start with a recent favourite read, and then Kayla wrote these 10 set prompts to move through, going from book to book on their shelves, and then the final prompt takes them to a book which they then read in the blog. So I'm going to do it slightly differently. I'm going to start with the last book I read, and then I've made this little jar of prompts. I have about 30 in here. I'm going to pick 8 of them, kind of like a TBR jar, and I'm going to move through those. They're all going to be off my red shelves, and then for the final book I'm going to go over to my TBR cart and pick the final book, and that's what I'm going to read. So, also I had my hair cut yesterday and I don't love it, but there's not a lot to be done about it now. So the last book I read was The Secret Midwife. I finished this about an hour or so ago and I really enjoyed it. It's a memoir of this midwife's career and experience of being a midwife in the NHS, and I just think midwives are bloody amazing. I think it is a fantastic profession which has gone through way too many hard times recently, but I just think they're amazing and I admire every single midwife out there. And this is the last book I read, so let's pick the first prompt. Some of these prompts I took from the videos I watched, and then others I've written myself. The first one is going to be: count the number of letters in the title, count to that spot on your bookshelf from where you picked this one up. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. And it was here. So that's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Which is Looking Good Dead by Peter James. The second one in the, I think, 17 book series. The Roy Grace series. I've read these 3. I haven't read any of the others. I don't own any of the others. But I really enjoyed these ones. So the next one is going to be Looking Good Dead by Peter James. A book by the same author. Oh, that's easy. I will go for Not Dead Enough by Peter James. The third prompt is a book I got from the same place or same kind of place. Okay, so these were a birthday gift from one of my best friends, Amy. So let's find another book that was a gift. I am going to go for Blue Ticket by Sophie McIntosh. And prompt number 4 is a book from the same series, if applicable. What did I pick out again? Blue Ticket. Okay, that's not applicable, so I'm just going to get rid of that one. Flip to a random page and find any word. Find a book with that word in the title. This is a fun one. So I'm just going to go They. They. Maybe I don't have one. Oh, that's annoying. I don't have one, so I'm going to try again. There. Oh, I don't have There's No Such Thing as an Easy Job anymore. Nope. Third time the charm. Houses. Me, I definitely don't have one that says houses. Well, this is awkward. Okay, new attempt. I'm gonna flip to a random page and find a word. I'm gonna read it from the top and find the first word that has a book. Unless it's there, because that is so boring. And the recovering were just dead space. Dead the other book by Peter James, which is kind of annoying, but never mind. Dead Symbol by Peter James. 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is number 5. A book with the same number of pages. Okay, so I'm going to have to get that out. This book has 457 pages. Let's get rid of those now out of the way. Oh, 455. $456, so that's the closest so far. Nope. No. 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 452. Okay, I'm gonna go with The Guilty One by Lisa Valentine. This is 1 page off and I'm pretty happy with that. One, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this is the 6th prompt. Is that right? 1, 2, 3. Yeah. Any of the same elements on the cover, okay? So this cover has like a landscape, a coastal landscape, and a boy walking in a red jumper. I feel like this is pretty close. We have a coastal landscape and, or at least a landscape, what looks to be a girl running in a pink coat, which is pretty close if you ask me. Next one's going to be same number of syllables in the author's name. Okay, so this is The Good Daughter by Karen Slaughter. Karen Slaughter is 4 syllables. I'm going to go for Heartstopper Volume 3 by Alice Oseman, also 4 syllables in Alice Oseman. And is this the last one? 5, 6, 7, yeah, last one. I hope it's a good one. If it's, oh, okay. This is kind of a cop-out one. If it's a non-fiction, choose a fiction. If it's a fiction, choose a non-fiction. So this is a fiction book, so all I have to do now is choose any non-fiction book on my TBR, and that's what I'm going to read. Okay, let's move on down. Okay, so this is my TBR cards, and then I do have a few extras down here that are different sizes. Okay, so I need to choose any non-fiction book. So I have no. A New Earth by Eckhart Tolle. Factfulness by Hans Rosling. I don't feel like reading a non-fiction book. Black Box Thinking by Matthew Said. Francie's War by Francie Robinette Epstein. The Guilty Feminist by Frances Deborah White. Freedom is a Constant Struggle by Angela Y. Davis. Unnatural Causes by Dr. Richard Shepherd. Dr. Richard Shepherd. And then what do I have down here? The Way to the Spring by Ben Ehrenreich. The Psychopath by Mary Turner Thompson. Disability Visibility by Alice Wong. Confident Women by Tori Telfer. On Palestine by Noam Chomsky and Ilan Pappé. And The Duchess of Bloomsbury Street by Helena Hanff. I'm definitely not going to read that. To be fair, I don't really know what I feel like, but I could be happy with a few of these. This one I do really want to read, but I just read a medical memoir, so I don't think I'm going to choose that one. This one I'm tempted by. The Guilty Feminist I'm definitely tempted by. And then I'm also, like, Confident Women. Sounds fun. I think I'm going to go for Black Box Thinking. This, why am I sat, oh my great uncle recommended this book to me a few years back. I have no idea if it's going to be any good, but it's a self-help book. I'm going to go for it. Let's tidy it up. Let's go! That was a depressing start to the book. I've just finished the first chapter and I'm gonna go to bed. But I'm enjoying it. My only concern is that I have quite a big uni deadline due this month, next week, and so I have to do quite a lot of academic reading for that. And I kind of feel like I'm doing academic reading with this as well, because it's a lot of references and like, yeah, it just kind of feels academic in a way, but I am enjoying it. The first chapter is about failure and learning from failure, learning from our mistakes. It draws a comparison between the healthcare industry and the aviation industry. I'm explaining that the aviation industry is historically good at learning from mistakes and identifying patterns, that kind of a thing, whereas the healthcare industry is notorious for trying to cover up mistakes. Both medical bodies and boards and individual practitioners as well. Obviously, because their reputation and career are at stake, they don't want to talk about things and their ego. He's suggesting that if people and the medical industry were more open and reflective and analytical of errors would significantly reduce. There's one statistic that says percentage-wise, the number of medical errors that happen due to just mistakes, basically, due to error, it would be equivalent to 2 Boeing, what are they called, 747s, sorry. The equivalent of 2 Boeing 747s crashing a day, or 9/11 happening once every 2 months, which would never be accepted by society and by the aviation industry, but yet, due to a variety of factors, that's the level of tragedy that's happening in the healthcare industry, just because of human error and those mistakes not being learnt from and those reflections not taking place to identify patterns and such. And that is really interesting to me and very shocking. And that's where we're at. It was reported that as many as 1,000 babies are dying before, during or after birth each year due to avoidable mistakes in the NHS. One simple error of failing to monitor babies' heart rates properly accounts for a quarter of negligence payouts. 1,000 babies dying a year who don't need to be. Just because as a system, healthcare and the NHS do not investigate errors and do not figure out how their mistakes could have been avoided and how they can be avoided in future. Stupid. Ridiculous. I get that the aviation industry is important in this like idea of learning from failure, but does it need to be brought into every single paragraph? I don't know. And I have very limited interest in aviation, so to me it's just like, ugh, this again. That's my hot take. I just took a break from reading to watch a YouTube video, and I've opened YouTube, and one of the first videos that came up was a book Scavenger Hunt by Maddie's Library, and that made me do a little ee of joy. Gonna watch it right now. Section openings are quite heavy and abrupt. Like this one just starts after a break. It starts on 20th of March 1987, a young girl was attacked in her home in Billings, Montana. And it's just like, damn, where's the warning? Wrongful or just wrong convictions in the criminal justice system, and particularly about people who have been sentenced to a very long time in jail and have served a long time in jail only to be proven innocent later on with the advanced technology of DNA testing. And it gives examples of police officers, I guess, detectives, first of all trying to avoid bringing the evidence in, trying to say, no, the case is closed, we don't need it, and then after they get proved wrong, finding other very outlandish reasons how that could have happened and why, in this example, another man's semen was found in a girl's body. It says, the reframing exercise often took a distinctive path. Hang on. Nothing seemed to budge them from their conviction that the man who had been sent to prison was guilty, even after the test had been performed, even after the conviction had been overturned, even after the prisoner had been released from jail. The problem was not the strength of the evidence, which was often overwhelming, it was the psychological difficulty in accepting it. The reframing exercise often took a distinctive path. First, the prosecutors would try to deny access to DNA evidence in the first place. When that strategy was battered away by judges and the test had excluded the convict as the source of the DNA, they would claim that it had not been carried out correctly. This didn't last long either, because when the test was redone, it would invariably come back with the same result. The next stage was for the prosecutor to argue that the semen belonged to a different man who was not the murderer. In other words, the victim had had consensual sex with another man, but had subsequently been raped by the prisoner who had used a condom. And they call this cognitive dissonance, where you dissociate yourself. Actually, I don't know what that means by that, but it makes sense in the context. Basically, they're saying that if this police officer or whoever it is, prosecutor, has gone to all this effort to lead people to believe that this person is guilty, only to be proved wrong, and especially only to be proved wrong years and years later. It's embarrassing, but it's not fair on everyone else involved. And if they would accept that and try and learn from their mistakes, then that might not happen in the future. It's very interesting. It is pretty dense though. Some of these contortions would be almost comical if the subject matter were not so serious. And that's the crux of it really, isn't it? But with that, good night. Monsters Inc. started off with a plot centred on a middle-aged accountant who hates his job and who is given a sketchbook by his mum. As a child, he had drawn some monsters in the sketchbook, and that night they turn up in his bedroom, but only the accountant can see them. These monsters become the fears he had never engaged with, and over time he learns to understand them and thus overcome them. That's how Monsters Inc. started. The character of Mike wasn't added until more than a year after the first treatment was written. I kind of want to read Catmull's memoir now. He is the president of Pixar, or was, I'm not sure if he still is. But those couple of snippets that have just been in here, that apparently came out of the book, are cool. Where am I? 282 out of 314. I've got 20 minutes. Sorry, 20 pages will be 40 minutes. And then another 15 will be another half an hour. What does that make? An hour 10? Hour 10 left to go, maybe? I was kind of hoping to finish this book today, but I've had a really, really lovely day and have not spent a lot of time reading whatsoever. And I'm okay with that. That being said, it is the 29th of May today, and I've yet to start my prompt jar book for this month. So I would at least like to start that before the month's over. Otherwise the whole point of it is kind of redundant. So hopefully I'll finish this tomorrow. I'm kind of ready for it to be over now, to be honest. I'm going to read The Hike by Lucy Clark next. And that's my plan. Night. definitely ready for this to be finished now. I am really close now. 17 pages. But I'm not gonna lie, I've just read 10. And I don't think I've taken any of it in. I'm not awake enough yet. Time for a coffee. Let's finish this book. Yes, this page 306 out of 314 is what I've been waiting for this whole book for. Okay. I have finished the book. I don't really know what to say, like, it was really interesting, but I thought it was going to be, they didn't really give any examples of how I could apply it to my everyday life. It was all about industries and organisations, company changes, I guess. And I know I can like read that and take things from it and apply it in that way, but I would have liked to have had some examples, which is what I thought this was going to be, and it wasn't at all. It was a lot of saying the same thing over and over again. Basically the whole book is him saying the same thing but in different ways, and there are different things sprinkled in, different concepts and ideas, but the gist was this, just the same thing being repeated. I definitely don't think it needed to have been this long. But with all that being said, it was really interesting. There were some really, really interesting points, quite a lot of facts and figures that made me go, whoa. That's it. I'm probably not going to keep this. It's definitely not groundbreaking. For me, personally. I think for people who work in the healthcare industry or other industries mentioned, it would be really interesting, or managers of any type of company. It would be a very beneficial read if they were to take things from it and actually put it into practice. But on an individual level, I did not need to read the whole book to get the point of what he was saying. But thanks to my Uncle Gray for recommending this. And thanks for coming to my first reading vlog. I am excited about that part. I think I'll probably give this like 3 stars. So on the whole, really enjoyed this book. It has some really, really interesting points, and I'm definitely going to take some things from it next time I fail, and hopefully moving forward consistently when I fail or make mistakes, I'll be able to look at them from a more logical point of view and think about the fact that I couldn't learn without those. and I'm going to try not to cover up any mistakes. I do think one of the points was about a fixed mindset versus a growth mindset, and I've seen years ago, I don't know if it was Unjaded Jade or Grace Beverly, one of those two I'm sure, posted a YouTube video about it, about the growth mindset, and I'd not really heard of it. It might have been Natasha Ocean. I don't know, it could have been one of those three or someone completely different. But basically, the point is, rather than saying, like, at least this is the main point I took from that video, instead of saying, I'm not good at this, I'm not good at this yet, and that one word completely changes your perspective on the whole situation and your approach to tackling it, and just your approach to it. And I do try and remember that, you know, I've definitely got a lot better at being bad at things, not worrying if I'm not good at things straight away, but I definitely could still improve in that area. And I'm really glad I read this because I have had it for a while now and I've been wanting to know what I think. So yeah. Thank you so much for watching my first reading vlog. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!